We don't want to give them a million draws, but we can still use Departure to search big bears for their turn. What can I say except we're pushed to the limits? But it's not over yet, because I know exactly how much these free cards can do. Greetings, Rigil Agateiades here, and today we have proof that Ursarctics are no longer the joke they were. Diss them as much as you like, you'll regret it when you ash the wrong card. To prove that Ursarctics are worthy, there's no better way to do so than to reach D-level max in the event designed to decide who's the best in the game. And to do that, we're of course bringing the best Ursarctic build ever, Ursarctic Yubels. For those who don't know, the synergy between Yubel and Ursarctics is almost uncanny. With all Yubel monsters tributes for Ursarctic monsters, once they hit the grave, you can summon a free Phantom of Yubel for paying costs. Ursarctics also need no normal summon, so we can spend that on Lotus for a 1-card combo. On top of that, Phantom of Yubel is a level 9 monster, meaning it can be used to summon Ursarctic Polari, our signature level 1 synchro. Finally, Nightmare Pain also redirects all our opponent's attacks to the Yubels, in turn giving battle protection to our entire board. There's no better way to demonstrate this synergy between Ursarctics and Yubels than with a combo showcase, so let's head straight to that. The combo I'm showing here is incredible in 2 ways. First of all, it shows very well how Yubel cards are basically Ursarctic cards. Secondly, it is doing what was previously unthinkable in Ursarctics, a 2-card combo. Yes, I've cracked the seemingly insurmountable 3-card requirement for Ursarctics without having a million Garnets in the deck, and all it takes is a D-Lotus and any big bear in the hand. The start of the combo is what you're all probably familiar with. Lotus summons the spirit of Yubel, search Nightmare Pain, and then Nightmare Pain pops the spirit for a search, while triggering the spirit to summon a Yubel from the deck. While in Yubel decks, the search with Nightmare Pain is the Grave Squirmer. Here for Ursarctics, we just search any high-leveled Yubel. But at this point, all we have is one big bear. How is this an Ursarctic combo? Well, we just pull things out of thin air. With the Lotus and Spirit in the graveyard, we can summon the Phantom of Yubel. And guess what? We suddenly have a small bear. Summon the big bear from our hand and we have everything we need to summon Ursarctic Polari. Now that Polari is on the field, we can get the field spell Ursarctic Big Dipper. But here we run into a second problem. We don't have a second Ursarctic in the grave. What we usually do here is banish an Ursarctic from the grave and summon the big bear again with Polari's effect. But without a second Ursarctic, we can't do that. Or can we? Banishing from the grave is part of Big Dipper's effect to replace the cost on Polari, which requires tributing a level 7 or higher monster on the field. But guess what do we have on the field? By tributing the Yubel we have left from earlier, we can bring back the big bear. And now we have all we need to summon our ace monster, Ursarctic Septentrion. In case you're not aware, Septentrion is no weak synchro. With this effect, we negate the effects of all Xyz and Link monsters on the field, which is already enough to win some matchups. And even if our opponent can play around that, we still get a surge in response to our opponent's special summon. With all big bears and interaction in their own way, we have essentially a Book of Moon, D.Lv, or an MST of our choice. With Big Dipper, we also get a Snatch Steal on our opponent's turn once they summon enough times. No restriction on how we use that monster. If we steal our opponent's Phantom, we even get another negate. Finally, to top off the combo, do not forget to summon a second Phantom of Yubel. With the Yubel engrave and whatever you used as the big bear's fodder, we have the material to summon the Phantom of Yubel a second time. And now we have another monster negate and battle protection for our Septentrion, as Nightmare Pain redirects all attacks to the Phantom instead. That's the board. We have the Link and Xyz shut down, a monster negate, a search for a Book of Moon, D.Lv or MST, A Snatch Steal in 4 summons, only 2 if you use both the Phantom and the Big Bear first, and Battle Protection for everything on the field. All for just 2 cards. But that's not even the full potential. That was just a 2-card combo, and we haven't even included the card that makes Ursarctics so strong we can surpass even pure Yubel decks. That card is Ursarctic Radiation. The legendary Draw 7 card. With it searchable for a total of 12 copies, we can outgrind most decks once we stop them enough with our going first board. From there, getting lethal isn't even a challenge. Well, nothing better than seeing that in action. Let's head on to the replays. As expected from the DC Cup, in all replays today we go against meta-worthy decks, and as the Gambler of Legend, we of course win every coin toss. We start with a normal Ursarctic combo, but before we continue, we normal summon the Sea to make a Baron first, as our opponent seemed to have a response. Now save from hand traps, we activate Departure. Should have searched McPolar as the tribute so we can get a search of Baron's standby phase effect, but luckily we didn't need it. Instead, what we needed was the first effect to negate the Veiler. Now that's gone, we're good to finish up the combo. Not a lot with no Yubel parts, but Septentrion is worth at least a search, and if I was smart enough, Baron could bring back a McPolar for a second, and Big Dipper would be a third interaction. Thank God he drilled a C on the draw. Our opponent starts their turn and reveals that they are on Centurions, and at that moment, I rejoiced, because we know there's one thing we can do that always stops their combo. They activate their field spell and attempt to summon Gargoyle II, and we immediately summon Agateiades in chain. On summon, they trigger their field spell first because it's their turn. Then we chain Agateides' effect, and down goes their Primera. With no tuner on the field, they could knock Synchro, and all they could do is summon a negated Typhon. To prevent them from going into battle, we activate Big Dipper. Now they don't even get a body on their field, and all they could do is put down a Phalanx. Back to us, on our standby they bounce back the Typhon, not sure why when it's still negated by Septentrion, but not like that will affect us much. We activate Radiation and oh there is Drillsworm. And the worst part is that there's one Synchro that doesn't need a tuner. We trigger our Septentrion, which probably wouldn't survive, and down comes the Chaos Angel. Say goodbye to our Polar Star and Septentrion, but if you think that's our combo over, you're so wrong. With Radiation on the field, keeping our combo running isn't even a challenge, and we'll run those 7 draws dry this time. Summon Polari, and with all the counters on Big Dipper again, I'll take your Chaos Angel, thank you very much. Activate Departure by pitching the Nib we don't need, and we search 2 more names we haven't used this turn. With each of them worth a draw on Radiation, we just need to assemble lethal somehow. Use Polari's effect and we bring back Megabilis, and we can now make Grand Chariot to pop both defense position monsters. After that, we hit the Lotus with Radiation. The chance of not drawing one of the 6 Yubel starters is quite low when you draw 7 cards. Some pointless Yubel combo here could have just summoned the Phantom directly, which we need for their Bestials in their hand. Speak of the devil, but we don't negate it with Yubel because we can save that for Nib. Instead, we just summon Megapolar, and that's enough to walk over the last Bestial. Go into battle, and that's finally game. Second Duel, and we go against the Voiceless Voice. Unfortunately for us, we drew 2 Yubel Garnets, but I'm not unhappy about that. It's just a free Phantom. Pitch one with Departure, and we pitch the second as the tribute for our Big Bear. Make a monster negate using what we've used already, that's what I call recycling. Search Radiation, and we can now seriously get our combo going. Make Polari while getting a draw, and we take an Imperm. Glad that wasn't a Nash, because otherwise we would have lost on the first Departure alone. We then draw the Nightmare Pain, while we have to pop the Phantom to get a fodder for our Big Bear. Its other effects are useful later. Make Septentrion for a final draw. Yes, it's Nightmare Throne. Normal summon the Lotus. Okay, I'm really happy I drew the Nightmare Pain directly. Make the Phantom, and we're now set through 2 accurately dropped hand traps. Opponent's turn, we maxi on standby so we don't get Snatch stolen by triple tact, and that goes through. They then normal summon the Definer of Heralds and will negate it with Phantom. Letting that resolve gives them way too many cards. and then they just activate their Pot of Greed for rituals because why not? Down comes the full Voiceless Voice board. The light barrier is a serious problem because all our effects target. We attempt to pop it by searching Megapolar. Of course it gets negated by the Guardian. Should have chain blocked it with Radiation, but you know, telling a man to give up 4 draws isn't easy. On the draw we protected, we get a Mega Billis. Really helpful because it can banish the Dragon Queen in their grave, preventing a second ritual summon. Our opponent realizes he could no longer pop 2 with their continuous trap and just uses it on the Nightmare Pain. Wise choice, otherwise the Phantom next turn would directly be lethal. Into battle, we lose the Septentrion and now our opponent can use their Link monsters. They shouldn't though because we still have Maxi up. Regardless, our opponent summons Dynamondo and then SP Little Knight to remove our field. Goodbye Yubel and Nightmare Throne, but guess what we just drew in return? Back to us, all our opponent had as a response was Solravis they searched, which we just took in the face. With 7 cards in hand, we have no problem doing lethal after this. Final duel, we go against one of the meta representing decks and the one we in fact share cards with, Yubels. We start with a Lotus and not great. Well, it's not the end of the world. We don't want to give them a million draws, but we can still use Departure to search Big Bears for their turn. What can I say except we're pushed to the limits? But it's not over yet, because I know exactly how much these free cards can do. Our opponent starts by opening the Spirit Gates. A normal deck would definitely press the red button here, but not Ursarctics. Not until I use that one trick at least, the one that works miracles on normal summons. The Book of Moon on Megatanus. Flip the Dark Beckoning Beast and our opponent is out of moves. Without a normal summon or a way to put a monster in grave, they couldn't get 2 face-up monsters on field and all they could do is make a Phantom. And we have just the right response. Put down our own Phantom of Yubel and that's their negate negated. Now we're free to combo. They chain their Phantom to our Spirit, we chain our Phantom, they chain Call By, good move, and then a second Called By, questionable. Because you really should have saved it for our Ursarctics instead. They're what's going to do lethal. With no more cards in our hand, that doesn't seem very probable, but Polari doesn't just summon Big Bears from the grave, it can summon any Ursarctic. Summon Megapolar and we search a Brilliant Bright Knight, which in turn searches Radiation. Make Septentrion with the Megatanus for a draw. Nice extender. Normal summon Ash and we get a 7 and a 3 for a Baron, and that's exactly 8,000 lethal. That was the deck, and I cannot express how happy I was with the run. The Phantom of Yubel is so good I run 3 copies in the extra deck, which even pure Yubel decks don't always do. And God bless the Megatanus Book of Moon, it saved me so many times. While we have 0 chance of winning against anti-meta beat, we have answers to most other decks. When push comes to shove, you can even just ram Yubel monsters for lethal against unbeatable tower monsters. The only downside to the deck would be the relatively mild going second options, and how difficult it is to optimize plays. Ursarctics with their pseudo free chain effects come with great freedom, and great hindrances. And with so many cards as tributes, thinking 15 steps ahead including possible plays from our opponent makes the deck far from easy to pilot. Which is why I gave up on explaining everything in detail and just let the replays do the speaking. In return, the deck has all the flexibility you can ask for, and all the power as a result. Get the Yubel line and Radiation running, and the Ursarctics can surgically dismantle your opponent's board with their full suite of Book of Moon, DD Crow, and MST. That's it from me today. Know all your options, which there's a lot of, and the Ursarctics powered by Yubels can bring you to victory. After all, we made a comeback against meta with just 3 cards.